To celebrate 65 years of running, canoeing, swimming and cycling, I decided to cycle South Africa's back gravel roads from Cape Point all the way along the mountains to Beitbridge on the Limpopo River. My retirement from 40 years of legal practice gave me the time to experience the adventure during March and April of 2014. This video tells the story of my journey through daily iPhone pictures and posts. I hope it gives to you some idea of how magnificent it is to travel slowly through one's country, unsupported and under one's own steam on a simple bicycle. The reason why I decided to cycle from Cape Point to Beitbridge was really to try to replicate in South Africa something like the end-to-end ride in the UK or the Great Divide ride in the US. Why I did it from Cape Point to Beitbridge was that my research indicated that the prevailing wind was basically a southwester, and I wanted to have that wind behind me as I crossed particularly the Karoo rather than to ride into the wind. My research led me to Kevin Davey, who had pioneered the South African ride, and he was very, very encouraging. Also, I met Jaco Stradum, who quite remarkably had done the ride both from Cape Point to Beitbridge and from Beitbridge back along the west to Cape Town before, very, very sadly, he died of cancer. My biggest challenges on the journey, I think, were basically discipline. It was so important to prepare very, very meticulously for the ride, and then on the ride itself to be very disciplined about eating carefully during the ride and eating during the magic hour after the ride to make sure that my body was properly replenished for the next day. Also to be very disciplined about my own cleanliness so that I didn't pick up any kind of infection. Also to keep my bike clean so that it limited the maintenance or any breakdown that I might have, and also alerted me to any fault that there might be with the bike. So I think the biggest lesson for me was the importance of preparation and the importance of being disciplined on the ride. The champagne has arrived. The biggest lessons I learned from my journey was just how simple life can be. You lose your external identity. I was just an old man on a bike, not a lawyer, not a mediator, not a pundit or anything else. You are basically too busy to have epiphanies. All I could have was fun. I was generally blind to the magnificent beauty of South Africa, as I was blind to the extent of the socio-economic disaster which was unfolding before my eyes. I saw deserted farms, insecurity and fear, neglected roads, lack of enterprise, except Chinese and Pakistan and West African entrepreneurs in the small towns. And it seems that in those small towns, Grant Day has replaced Market Day, and there seems to be great dependence on grants. Also, I witnessed much demeaning public work like sweeping dust roads, and also I saw collapsed projects financed by overseas people wanting to assist. The other thing that struck me is how vast the space is in South Africa. Also, I learned that you must never trust locals on distance and routes. It seems that they don't venture very far from where they live. Also, I learned never to trust Kevin Davey on the ease of routes. What he said was easy often turned out to be very, very challenging. Another lesson was how different water tastes from one borehole to another. Also learned that there's always another hill beyond the horizon, and that tailwinds have advantages, but they also have disadvantages. Also learned that I could live on water, apples, and rooibos, and of course a little bit of wine in the evening. Also learned to be aware of snakes. They were the greatest threat that I had from nature on my way. But most of all, I learned that if you want to do something, just do it.